Hello and welcome to Kural Connect, yet another interaction where we look at the cusp of Gen Z leadership, growth, executive presence, and what's lacking. Specific to firms that have scaled fast but hit a plateau and then are looking at what next, especially given the AI wave that's coming today. And along with me on Kural, I have Dr. Sangeeta, multiple book author, and our own AI expert, Venkat.
Hello.
And the flow today is going to be under the broader topic of Gen Z and leadership today. And by leadership, we mean second level leadership, C-level leadership, or in really fast growing companies, even the CEOs. So the first question is, and this is for all of us to discuss, Venkat and Sangeeta. What is the general perception of Gen Z among the senior leaders of today? Now, each of us in our respective businesses, careers, and interacting with a whole lot of growth leaders across companies and divisions have encountered a lot of comments, positive and negative. So let me start off with Sangeeta. This could either be your perception or what you have heard or surmised from your interaction as a coach to a lot of companies, but also as a professional speaker to a lot of corporates.
Yeah.
What's the general perception of Gen Z among the senior leaders or the mid-managers and above?
Okay, the first thing is they say a couple of things. Like, these guys are very arrogant. They don't have patience for anything. It's just instant gratification that they want. While they talk about all of this on one side, the other side, they also acknowledge that this generation is extra smart, right? And not just that, they can pick up things in a jiffy. They are like action oriented, right? Everything has to be done like now. I want results right now. I want to create an impact right now. So it's a double-edged sword, because one side, we talk about them lacking patience. Another side, they are like, I want results immediately, right? So it's like the two sides of a coin. And I think that's what makes them unique and special. So I think as leaders, if we are smart enough, we must know where to tap in so that we can leverage what they bring to the table and create a win-win for both.
All right, Venkat, the AI man, of course, you've run a large company, you have interacted with a lot of founders, all having a lot of people. What has been their perception? What is your perception?
Okay, I agree with Sangeeta that the first impression when you're talking to, say, founders or CEOs is that this generation is an entitled generation. They don't put the sweat, but they want the reward first. The general story is you have to sweat it out. We even talk about sweat equities, right? So that's the perception we carry. But then the way I have seen is, or the good practice I've seen is, you start empathizing with them. This generation is going through a lot. So you have to empathize with them. What do I mean by that? When we are a generation which grew up very aspirational generation, because we saw the India opening up, 91 economic opening up and all that, everything from that point we saw was an up. It's going to go better. My life tomorrow is better than yesterday, is what we started when we came into corporate world. There was no great India-Pakistan conflict, or China was not becoming a threat for us. And the Cold War was over. It was a very prosperous, happy time. Maybe the wealth was not so much, but the time we entered, Cold War has ended. It was on a positive note. We came to the corporate world and started our businesses. But imagine the generation that is entering the corporate world today. It is uncertainty at every turn. You have wars going around the world. A bigger, bitter Cold War could be starting. There could be a nuclear war. There could be a conflict starting at the turn. We even had a conflict with India, Pakistan a couple of months back, which could have turned out nasty. And then the world tariff, Mr. Trump, so on and so forth, everything. And AI is going to take over the world. Where is going to be my job? And does education as a degree, does it have value? This generation is coming into the workforce with so much uncertainty. So you as CEOs, as leaders, should empathize with them first. It doesn't mean giving them free pass for their sloppy work or anything like that. But that is the starting point. So first, I think CEOs have to set out a very, very strong, more than ever, a corporate vision. What do they want to change in the world, in the society, in
Yeah,
the
but Venkat,
customer?
my question was more on what is their perception of
Correct.
Gen Z today. Is it
Correct. I'm
positive?
just coming
Is it
there.
negative? Yeah.
So that is what you have to start with. The reason I'm saying all this is the CEOs also carry the baggage or the impression what Sangeeta was talking about. The way to get your perspective correct is start looking from their side. And the points I was talking about will help you to get there. That is the starting point I will begin.
Okay, I'm going to take a contrarian approach here and counter
Please.
both of you, because this generational thought process and shift, or the generational superiority, is something that has been around for a long, long time. Now, I can give you a clear example, and I'm paraphrasing. When you go to alumni associations, the best of the times when we were there, not when it is now, because right now things are corrupted, everybody has a mobile phone, etc., etc. Not factoring in that we had the entire internet wave when we were growing through, and our seniors couldn't come up to that speed. And we always had, when we were not Gen Z, but newer in our career. And my take is, whether there is AI or not, whether it is Gen Z or Gen Alpha or millennials, it is purely a generational irritation, is what I would call, that I was faster, not realizing that, I might have bunked class, I may have cut corners and all that, because our memory always only highlights the positive and tends to de-amplify the negative. So my take, the general perception on Gen Z with the leaders is the same as it had been when they were not Gen Z, they were youngsters, and then it goes through. It is an adjustment issue. It's like you are living in an apartment complex. Somebody who comes in new automatically is alienated. Oh, why are they doing it so noisy? How can they do their interior construction? Well, you did the same when you moved in. You just forgotten, right? That would be my take.
Pravin, if I may just add
Yes,
on
please.
to what you're saying, I think that's a very good aspect that you brought about, especially generational irritation. And that's why I would like to call this as generational adaptation. How well can you adapt, between the generations? We are like kind of sandwiched between, the older generation and the current generation. So
Yeah,
I
every
think
generation is sandwiched.
no, I think it's a tad more for us, is what I feel. Well, I may be biased,
Yeah,
but
we are
that's
a
what I
middle
feel.
generation, like our Mojo Man says.
Yeah, so if we can adapt ourselves, like I think we're probably good at it. We have kind of adapted, but I think if we can adapt a tad more and embrace the Gen Z, I think that'll create a lot of, create a required bang, I would think.
Now I'm going to flip it. And the question is also personal here, because each of us has at least one Gen Z in our household. How prepared do you think the Gen Zs are for entering the professional world today? Open question.
Yeah.
And I'm going to push you for an uncliched answer.
Okay, going by what I'm seeing, especially in the home front, I think they are pretty much geared up. They are ready to take on challenges. And I think the drive quotient is very high, to say that I want to achieve something, even before I hit my 30s, for example. Like, so they're like very, very focused, and like, I definitely want to get there like ASAP. That's the action. Because I think when we were growing up, typically CEOs were like, in their late 40s or 50s is what we have
Yes.
seen. But
Yes.
yeah, this generation is like, why do I have to wait so long? I mean, I'm here to get it right now. And plus, also, what I notice is their avenues to both learning and growing are umpteen. I don't like a particular stream right now. I'm going to chuck it and I'm going to explore something new. So it's not like they are sticking on to the same stream. So the options are umpteen, and they're ready to explore and learn and grow, as demanding as it is. And also, I think, like Venkat said, we are living in an uncertain era. I mean, the disruption, when you talk of disruption, the disruption has always been there. But the rate of change of disruption is humongous in the current time. So I guess that way, the Gen Zs are extremely adaptable to these kind of changes and uncertainties, and therefore I think they are smart to leverage it to their benefit, is what I would suggest there.
Yeah,
Nice.
see, Pravin,
We have an outlier right here. You said people become CEOs in their 40s. Well, he became a CEO, Venkat here in his early 20s and quit CEOship in his mid 40s. So Venkat, over to you.
True. See, I will begin by sharing, I think, my household example, like with my son. This generation is definitely geared up for entering the corporate because they have enough and more information about everything, whether it is YouTube videos to books and managements or whatever. How do they learn is a different topic, which we'll talk in a different section. But I think they are prepared. And one more thing we have to understand, which is a huge plus of this generation, which we CEOs and founders, we need to take advantage. We earlier were talking, the mantra was think global, act local. Correct? We have to say think global, but this generation inherently is thinking global because they are a connected generation. So you don't need to explicitly tell them that my product has to be globally relevant. If you just tell them to design a product, inherently, very likely, again, these are depending upon the people, the culture, the product, the service, but inherently their urge is to do something that is global. They are in a global village. They are super connected online, etc. So that's a thing that we can take advantage of. If you are in an industry which doesn't have borders, which doesn't have tariffs, which is a service, soft industry, and all that, you can have Gen Z take your product or service globally right from day zero. Again, your timelines, launch plans, etc., has to be worked out, but it doesn't take a separate effort for this generation to do that. That is one. The other thing I will say is this generation, one of the things, rather than every generation, like Pravin was talking about, doesn't want to hear the advice from previous generation and all. But what I have seen definitely values them, especially going back to my earlier point of uncertainty. They are definitely interested that there is a bright day, there is an end at the end, there is light at the end of the tunnel. They haven't seen through issues. They don't want you to recite the problems, but they want you to tell I've traveled rather than I've traveled through this tunnel. At the end of this tunnel, I found light. At the end of this uncertainty, you will find a better geopolitics. You will find a better economics. You will find a better Indian currency, whatever issues you are dealing with. I keep telling in every AA seminar or talk I go to, or every senior management, I have a discussion. Even yesterday, I was having a discussion with a friend of mine who works for a large cloud company. The point is, at the end of the next few years, like any other technology, AI is going to take its own time to settle. We'll figure out how to understand. Humanity will understand how to deal with it, etc., etc. But at the end of it, AI is going to be beneficial for us. That's what this generation wants to hear. They don't get that positivity from online, etc. That's what they are looking up to you as a leader to say at the end of this, not at the end, a couple of years later, we'll have clarity about this AI. So that's the message as CEOs I will be giving to my team, that go through this.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Now,
if I may just add on one slighter other aspect to what Venkat said was, you were talking about corporates, right? But I would also like to touch upon from the startup perspective. Because this generation, yes, the kind of jugaad they can come up with, having those exciting business ideas, converting everything into business, I think that's really swag on their part.
It is. My experience with Gen Z, both in the house and also with a whole lot of recruitment that I'm involved in, the constant complaint that comes from the senior managers on the hiring platform is, they refuse to, they want to work from home. They want to work from anywhere. They are not clued in terms of giving us structured reporting. They are more focused on the outcome and they don't respect me. That's something that leads me to the next question, which is differences between Gen Z and earlier generations, millennials, Gen X, and we are borderline boomers if you ask my kids, even though I will resist that as much as I can. But there are considerable differences, and I will start answering from my front as well. In terms of the leadership style itself that is changing from a command structure, from a process orientation, from a status reporting to a more outcome oriented. Okay, you want it by this particular day. This is your brief. I will go ahead. And then they vanish and then come back. And a lot of people, at times myself included, are unable to handle the black hole mode of working. So if that is what it is, this is what we are dealing with, then it is up to us to make some changes. But that is one key difference that I notice between Gen Z and by the way, Gen Z is up to 28 years. So, of course, it goes from 13, 14 till 28, and which basically means those in the 25 to 28 have the highest propensity, if they perform, to get fast tracked into the leadership area, especially with AI. So, back to the question, what differences do you observe between Gen Z and the other previous generations? Mode of working, interaction?
Okay, I think the first thing is Gen Z, they want to feel like they are a partner to you, right? Because they want to be heard, they want to be included, they want to be respected, trusted, and they like interactions that are very thought-provoking. Number one. Number two is, I think they are very focused, purpose-oriented. What is the impact that I'm going to create? Why does this particular thing even matter? They want to have clarity on all those things. They are extremely tech savvy. I mean, if you were to compare a boomer with a Gen Z, I think in the tech, the pace they need to keep is very, very important. And I think lastly and most importantly for them, growth needs to be really fast, tangible, visible, and it should be real. It's not like anything that, I think, it's there. So it's more like I said, the instant gratification. They want it done immediately. So I think it's basically a different mindset shift that is there. So if we can tune into their mindset and look at things from their perspective, I think that will really make a huge difference.
Yeah.
Okay. Tuning in, is it easy or difficult, Venkat? Yeah, the same question to you, Venkat. Differences that you observe between Gen Z and earlier generations.
See, I agree with Sangeeta. You have to start from a point of trust. That is number one. And it's going to be tough. If I were to lead a set of Gen Z, I'm going to find it very tough because trust to me is earned. Trust is not something I give it. I don't trust you implicitly. You have to earn my trust. That's how it works for me. That's how I'm used to. Whereas this generation starts from a point of trust unless proven otherwise. So there is a difference there. So we have to start from a point of trust. Of course, the other thing I'll also say is all this is not about giving a free pass to this generation. When they are doing it wrong, they want to be told. Just tell them that you are wrong. Don't let them figure out that they are wrong. They don't have the patience for that. I'll definitely come back to patience there. Tell them on their face. Don't wait for a monthly, yearly, quarterly review. This what you did is wrong. Maybe there may be an argument. Be ready for it also. But then once you are through it, once they are convinced, you will see them not repeating that later. So start from a point of trust. If they break it or if they don't perform, tell them. And last point is always tell them the larger picture. Don't give them the task. Give them the vision or the larger plan, what they are trying to achieve or what their job impact will be. Because this generation is seeing a lot of fakes and online, they want to be honest. That you have to be at every conversation that you have with them. Don't promise them that you will be promoted when you don't intend to promote them and all that small things.
So Venkat, in every wedding, I'm coming to you, Sangeeta, but Venkat, in every wedding, especially if it's a buffet style standing wedding, there'll be one batch that will fill up the plate and go. But when the rest of us are with empty plates, they'll keep coming back for seconds and refills. So Sangeeta had her chance, but she wants to come in for her refills. So go ahead.
it was related to what Venkat said.
Yes, of course.
What I felt is not just tell them, okay, but I think we need to prove to them. Because just telling doesn't work. Just telling doesn't work.
So I thought the whole point of being a CEO is we don't need to prove to anybody.
We can do whatever we want. Days, Venkat. Gone are those days.
So what do I need to prove?
Yeah. So whatever, if you want to try to tell them that you're wrong in a particular thing, Just telling that, hey, you're wrong is not going to work. You need to substantiate that. You need to give some evidence to it. And I think more importantly, if somebody close to them, like, it could be a parent or the boss or somebody telling them immediately, more than that, if an outside person comes and tells that, I think that impact is a lot more.
So that's where we come in, right? From Kural as consultants and as speakers, we come in and do the job for the CEO.
Absolutely right. That carries a lot more weightage on a very serious note. Yes.
You shameless salespeople plugging your brand in the middle of a podcast.
Look who's talking, Venkat. The shameless marketer is talking about it.
No, we learned from the master, right?
Yes, of course. The next question is, now all of us have been a product and also a consumer of the earlier style of recruiting youngsters. We go to a campus, give a questionnaire, they write, and then we shortlist for a GD, and then we call them for an interview and maybe a tech layer, and then we pick them up. Is this style outdated now for Gen Z recruitment? Do we need to look at what have you seen or heard from the marketplace today?
More than that, what comes to my mind is this is the era of elevator pitch. So if somebody can pitch themselves, I think they walk away with the cake.
All right. Venkat, has it changed? Or is it changing?
It is. I think it's been changing, but the change has been accelerating in the last few years, especially with AI and with the post-pandemic. I think things have changed dramatically. I think a lot more people, especially in the IT industries, I'm seeing more the conversation starting with what have they done? What is their GitHub repository talking about? What is that, like their portfolio for a photographer or an artist? I think the conversation is starting with, rather than your degrees. Of course, degrees are important. I'm not subscribing to the idea that degrees are not important and all that. I do subscribe to that. Basic degrees and bit of qualification, even post-graduation in a field really helps you, but that's a different conversation. But the recruitment and the identification starts with what have they already accomplished. There are multiple ways. IT, of course, is GitHubs and all that. What is your AI projects and Hugging Face and all that you can do. In every industry, I think every role, there are ways you can actually see what have they done in the past. I think conversation should be starting from there rather than what have you actually learned in school.
Fair enough. Just chipping in with an observation/question. Is it a Gen Z problem or is it a COVID problem, post-COVID? Because a lot of resets have happened, especially the Gen Z lost a couple of years of interacting with people. They are much happier by themselves, within themselves.
I think it will be, to a large extent, it's a post-COVID problem. We don't realize it because the impact it had on us was lesser, but for them, their critical age of growth, that's what I observe with my son. 13 to 18 is probably the most critical phase of a human growth. That was spent for them in COVID lockdowns. So the world they saw was very different, and they have learned ways to cope with it. And they bring that into the workforce also.
Right. Well, they don't shy away from giving you feedback on your face, even if it's the first meeting. And that is something that the older generations, also included, will need to get used to, saying this is the new normal. I cannot take a front. I can't get irritated. I just have to take it up. It's like in cricket, you get a bouncer, you deal with it and you carry on taking in. But continuing on with my previous question, especially given the age of the AI or the AI wave that we are in, is it going to burst? Is it not? That's not our concern right now. It's not in our hands. But we are in the middle of this AI wave, especially from a Gen Z talent perspective, because if I'm going to be investing in a company and there is a senior position that is vacant from an AI perspective, I would look at a 25 to 28-year-old. I would not look at somebody in the 40, 45-year-old for this position, because these people are native. They have grown up, especially in the last 2-3 years, experimenting, exploring a lot in AI. So the question is, how much of a role should AI play in spotting, assessing, and preparing Gen Zs for leadership roles?
Okay, I'll start with this. There are multiple tools. I won't go listing into the tools. You can search them online. Both in India, there are companies which are having SaaS products for AI assisted talent finding, like the ones I was talking about, going through your GitHub repository or going through what have you written online, etc. Even the US government for its visa vetting is now going through your social media posts.
Yes.
Okay, so if that is not an indication that AI can do vetting a person's personal beliefs and what he or she will not do, I think we don't need to look anywhere further. So there are many tools available depending upon any of your HRMS, your people management systems, from your Oracle HRMS or any other platform that Zogo people. Everything has an AI plugin now available, helping you to go through the resumes that you get in online profiles and all that. There are also tools that are coming up of how they are performing within the organization by their communication, by the meetings, by the documents they write, by the emails they send, by the tickets they close, so on and so forth. All these signals are being analyzed and telling you the potential for a person to move on to the next role. Those tools are also available. But as a CEO, remember these tools, other than the recruitment tools, which are fairly very stable, the other tools are evolving. So get in with a sense of experimentation, see how it works. Start with a small department, then roll it out pan organization. Don't say overnight all your promotions will be decided by AI. And no CEO wants to sit in the tough conversation of denying a promotion, that's a way, or firing somebody. That's not something the AI also doesn't want to do that. So please don't, it has its own feelings. So please don't give those dirty jobs to it.
My God, Venkat, you are concerned about AI's feelings.
Yes. See, this
He's
talk
an
is
AI man,
recorded.
no?
Tomorrow, our AI overlords, if they hear it, they will spare me.
Okay,
Yes,
I
Sangeeta.
have a slightly different perspective here on the question itself, because definitely, like you said, yes, we need to have a young person as a CAIO, Chief AI Officer, and all that. Yeah. So all that is valid, but I'm a little concerned when it comes to, the human connection, the empathy, the real life decision making. And also, if I were to combine it with what Venkat said, this generation who's grown up in the COVID, their a level of interactions may not be so much. And, for every little thing, they turn to AI and, get solutions from AI. So, in a real life, where is the human connection? Where, are they going to be able to take the right decisions and showcase their empathy and emotional intelligence? I'm just thinking more on those lines. Tech
That is
savvy, yes. Yeah.
absolutely brilliant, because most of the important decisions that need to be taken need a human touch point. And coming back to putting on my hat as a marketer, Sangeeta and Venkat, because the question that's asked quite often is, oh, how are we going to market to 60 plus? How are we going to market to 20 plus? And my answer to them continues to remain the same, that you are marketing to a human being. The decision is being made still by a human being. And therefore, you will need to change the way you communicate, the way you operate, and come up with different products and services for different age groups and segments. And that is the same the founders and the leaders would need to do today, because Gen Z, whether you like it or not, is going to be the leadership of the future faster than any of us can think of. So if we do not change the way we work, operate, think, and adjust, and in certain cases step out of the way, by this new influx of generation that's coming in, obviously this is a young India, and they have a voice. They are not shy, as we say, Kural is the voice, and they're not shy of using that voice to get what they want. Is it individual? Is it not? Well, the truth remains that Gen Z is here to stay, and they are the ones who are taking on the reins of the business world faster than we can think of. And the only thing we can do is be cognizant of the fact, be aware. And when I need to convince them, I need to think like them, I need to be them. Only then will I be able to be of service to them. And that would be my closing note. Now, each of you have half a minute each to give your closing note for this talk, Gen Z and leadership.
Sangeeta first.
Okay. I think Gen Z, they work very hard when the work actually means something.
Nice. Venkat.
I'll take it from your closing note, Pravin. It's very important at the end of the day, it's humans. I'll close with one recent example we have all seen. In the Indigo fiasco story, the story that stayed with me, apart from all the other noises, was the couple for their own reception attending online. That still shows it's the human emotions that communicated the Indigo fiasco more than anything else. So I leave with the message, whether any generation, at the end of the day, it's human connections.
Very nice. We will stop it at that. Obviously, Gen Z and leadership is a topic that will keep coming back. Any of you have specific questions, to write in. What we know, we will answer. What we do not know, we will find out. And our Kural will reach you with potential solutions for your workplace so that the second level and the senior leadership of your team can bristle with excitement and work with the younger generation to reach your corporate mission, vision, goals. Thanks for being with us for this episode. See you soon in the next. So thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.